Hey everybody, it's Chris from Beer Bearings. Thanks for joining me again today. Today I'm with Carla Gesell Streeter. She's in Cincinnati, Ohio, and she's actually been a fan and maybe more importantly has started some academic programs around beer as well. So she's very established in the beer scene in Ohio, and I'm going to have her tell you more about herself. Carla, thanks so much for being with me today, and I appreciate you taking the time and sitting on your porch with me virtually.
Well, thanks, Chris. Yeah, it's a nice day in Ohio finally, and in fact, you may hear some disc golfers go by because I do live right next to a park. But yeah, it's always a good thing to talk about beer.
Those are the dangers of interviewing outside. You might hear some angry crows in the background here. We've had a little bit of that happen, so you never know. As I do with all my interviews, I asked you to bring a beer. So tell me what you brought and why you chose it.
This is my beer. No, it's not a Cubs beer, but I had to do the shout out.
Got to get the Cubs in there, don't you?
Exactly. So the beer I have is Wooden Cask. This is their Cincinnati Double IPA. It is very tasty, and one of the reasons I chose it is they are the first brewery in Northern Kentucky to deliver. It's huge, and I'd already gone and picked some up at their place, but as soon as they announced they were doing delivery, I think I was either the first or second order they had.
Very nice, and well done. Good civic responsibility on your part. Go ahead and open that. Mine is from NOLA Brewing, right up the street here. NOLA is very much the granddaddy of the New Orleans craft scene. I think you said you've been there. It is We Are Liquid IPA. So I'm going to break mine open here. I always bring a glass, as have you. So I'm just going to pour a little bit into the glass so that the folks can see what we're talking about. I like to put a little foam on mine. So there you go. There is the NOLA We Are Liquid IPA. Cheers.
Cheers.
Toast, a little virtual toast.
Prost.
Delicious. Thank you, NOLA. You guys are doing a great job.
Yep.
So you've got a very interesting history, I would say. And you'll tell it better than I, but if you would start by talking about Hoperatives and then maybe lead into the Cincy State program.
Well, I can even go back a little further. I first really got into what we call Hoperatives, better beer, in 1984 when I was living in the Netherlands. The two most important phrases I learned in Dutch were "Ein pils," one beer, and "Wat is het toilet," which I think you can figure out what that means. So I've always been interested, and I happened to marry someone who was also interested in beer. And if you remember back the late aughts, when blogging was really starting to take off, we had a friend who had a wine blog here in Cincinnati. Okay, where's the one for beer? And there wasn't one. And me being a former radio person and my husband Tom being a former television person said, okay, we'll do this. So Hoperatives was born. The tagline is, we're believers in better beer in Cincinnati and beyond. When we started Hoperatives on January 1st, 2009, there were exactly 4 breweries and 1 brew pub in town.
Wow.
Within a year, that had doubled. And I was already teaching at Cincinnati State down in the communication department. The whole idea of community colleges is we need to be able to pivot, to take on new things. I said, we need to get on this. This is coming. In spring of 2014, I applied for a sabbatical to research and develop a brewing science department there at Cincinnati State. That summer, I went to 4 existing programs. Then I came back and I made appointments to talk to every brewery and every distributor that was operating then in Cincinnati. It was September 2004. I sat down to talk with Brian Golding, co-owner of Rheingeist. The next fall, we offered an intro to craft beer class, pulling on one of Brian's ideas that we would work actually with Rheingeist to develop a beer and they would brew it. That first section filled in 72 hours. And we've been going since there. Started offering a brewing sales and marketing certificate in 2016, then offered a brewing associate of applied science in 2017. Last year we had our first graduates. Out of the 14 that graduated with the degree at that time, 12 of them were working in the industry. One was getting ready to open his own brewery. Now, I'm not for sure how many of those are still working given the current climate,
Right.
but a lot of them are still. Now, Hoperatives, we decided to take a pause, and we've been looking at the next step, the Hoperatives 2.0, and we're building what we call an event engine. You'll be able to put into Hoperatives, show me all the beer events within 10 miles of me tonight, or 20 miles or 30 miles, whatever you want to do. It's going to be no cost to the user, no cost to the brewery, unless they want us to feature an event. But the main thing is going to be clean. It's going to be easy to use since it's a progressive web app. So that's the next step for that, which I'm kind of looking forward to.
Yeah, it'll be good to see it. I wouldn't say I'm a product of the Cincy State program, but I was certainly...
You're an alum.
I'm an alum, but I didn't actually receive any certificates or degrees or anything. But
You're still
I
an
learned a
alum.
heck of a lot. The faculty that you were able to pull together there was amazing, and I would say that sensory class that was at the time Jeremy Rosa from Sam Adams, and I'm not sure who's doing it now, but I learned more about sensory skills and beer in that class than anything up to that point. So it's been a pretty amazing thing in Cincinnati for sure. So congratulations to you for that.
Thank you. I'm really proud of our graduates and, well, all of our alums and what they're doing, and they help each other out. That's what I really like.
So you alluded to a few minutes ago the COVID-19 pandemic, and you're in Ohio and I'm in Louisiana. Tell me a little bit about what the state of affairs is in sort of Southwest Ohio and Northern Kentucky.
Now, we're lucky that our governor, both of them, Ohio and Kentucky governors, have declared that breweries and liquor stores are essential businesses. It's an always changing thing, and I will say I want to give kudos to the Ohio Craft Brewers Association and the Kentucky Guild of Brewers. Both state organizations have been doing an amazing job keeping their members informed and also fighting for their rights within the state government. Again, I mentioned before the fact that I was able to get beer delivered, and I just keep wondering, this Pandora box of alcohol law, I don't think everything's going back in that box. Like, I'm glad I'm not teaching legal issues to the fall again, because James and I are going to have to sit down and really think how we're going to rewrite that class to cover what's happening.
So in general, is it that breweries are able to sell from their tap rooms to go, order online, pick up to go? Some deliveries as well happening?
Yeah, deliveries both sides of the rivers. In fact, there's many more over on the Ohio side. The opportunity was always there, but nobody wanted to hassle with it. It's just what different places have decided fits best with their model. Now, like Braxton is known for Dark Charge Day. That's the day that their big beers come out, and it's usually in December. And they ended up having to let go of a lot of people. But what they did is they broke out some of the dark charges and sold them with the idea that all profits would go to a fund for their taproom employees.
You know, I was worried about the very small breweries, the ones maybe that just got open or just underway. And so what disparity have you seen there?
And it also gets into whether they're packaging or not. That's been a big thing. Trying to get crowlers now is next to impossible, and some places didn't even have the ability they didn't have a crowler machine. So they're trying to do everything with growlers and howlers. We've had a few just say, nope, we're just going to hunker down for a while. A lot of people are taking this time to do improvements to their tap room and their brewery. We live in interesting times, whether we like it or not.
Talk a little bit about how the brewing program has adapted to distance learning. And I mean, some of the classes probably are pretty straightforward, but a lot of the hands-on classes where people are actually brewing beer and all that, that's very difficult.
Right.
How have you adapted those?
Luckily, we were able to get at least halfway to 2/3 of the way through this semester before this all came down. Luckily, several students are either home brewers or no home brewers, and so they're able to replicate some of the the labs in their own home or at a friend's house. Again, good social distancing. The decision was just made that summer will be all online. So we made the very tough decision to cancel all the 3 lab classes, push them off to fall, but just try to go from there. Next year, my plan was to totally revamp the brewing and brewing sales and marketing uh, certificate into a business of beer and beverage certificate that would be completely online.
If people want to support local breweries right now, what are the best ways to do that? Is it purchasing from the tap rooms and those sorts of things, or what else would you say?
Purchase from the tap rooms, buy gift cards. That's the easiest one. As always, I'm seeing lots of breweries helping out each other.
It's interesting. My first interview for this series was with Eli Gay of NOLA Brewing.
Yes.
He was in New York and sort of broke into beer on the service side in New York, and he talked about being around beer people. And that was unprompted. I didn't tell him to say that. It's just, that's one of those currents that runs through the industry. Beer people are good people. I mean, I've never met a group of people in an industry that are more collegial and more sort of interested in helping each other. So that, I think, is a key point, and sort of how we're going to through the other end of this. Is it too early to tell? Do you have any idea what you think might be the permanent ramifications or even the midterm ramifications of the pandemic and all the closures?
People have been trying to scream that the craft beer bubble was bursting for a while now. And I'm like, no, I was doing web design during the .com bubble. This feels totally different. And I've even been saying this for about 2 years. I don't think we're going to have any new regional or national breweries coming up anytime soon. But there's still a great need for that neighborhood brewery.
And it's true down here in particular. New Orleans has now started to be in the very sort of nano community brewery part of the narrative that happens in every city, and New Orleans is in that kind of nano neighborhood model right now. I know you were talking about Hoperatives being in kind of a transitional phase, but if people wanted to find Hoperatives, where would they go right now?
We're still active and we post every once in a while. But if you go to hoperatives.com, it's just operatives with an H in front of it.
Right.
We've got some good things there. And we've got a whole section talking about what beer, what are Cincinnati breweries doing as far as pickup and delivery.
And then would be remiss if I didn't let you plug Cincy State and how people can find out more about that. So please do that.
So if you just go to cincinnatисtate.edu/brewing, you'll go to a page that gives you links to everything you need to know about our program, both the degree and the certificate. And my email address is listed there. I'd be happy to correspond with you, let you know what's going on, and get you going.
I really appreciate you being with me today, and I just want to ask you for any final thoughts that you've got.
And so it's just being kind and taking care of each other. I think that's the best thing we can do right now, and enjoying good craft beer.
Always drink good beer if you can. That's for sure.
Always.
Well, I really appreciate that. And I appreciate everybody watching today. Thanks so much. And we'll be back with more of these videos coming up. But for right now, definitely drink better beer, wash your hands, and stay safe. Thanks so much.